This video is going to show you how to set up your comic coloring project for the class. Now, there's a few things we're looking for. First of all, find a good image. I am Batman. They're not. This is awful. Don't find stuff like this. There are a million images out there on Google, and most of them are better than this one. Also, do not find stuff which is ridiculously simple. We understand that you're just going for the easiest possible thing you can do. Um, we are, however, expecting you to do things like shade things so they're three-dimensional. You'll probably have to have some detail or muscle structure or clothing folds or something that you can do that with. This is not that thing. You must also find just a line art image. This has already been shaded for you, so at this stage, all you would have to do is drop the color in and it would be done. You wouldn't even have the opportunity to do the shading, which is a requirement, so that's out. Don't have 8 million characters. Any two of these characters would be perfect for our complexity level. Character's good, this character's good, this character's good. 7 is way too many. You would never finish it. You could do something with a bunch of simple characters, say Ninja Turtles, or we could erase most of these guys out, so we only had 2 or 3, and then that would work. You can occasionally find characters that just one who is so complex, like this Imperial Space Marine, has so much stuff going on in him that just this one character would have enough detail for the whole project, but that's relatively rare. What you're looking for, as I said, is something like this, like we looked in the other superheroes. Probably this character plus a background, and we'll talk about how to get rid of this white here in a second, or this character and another character. Put a couple of them together. This would also work. So we're going to get to that in a second. So now that we know a level of complexity, we're going to talk about problems you run into. Let's say you find this zombie Superman, because that's what everyone does. But the problem is that it's done in pencil. So you're like, okay, this is going to be a little bit harder to color in because I don't have solid lines. We want to make it solid lines. This is easy to fix. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and you can do brightness and contrast, but honestly, I like levels. Levels is pretty easy to use once you understand it. Basically, you have the white and the black. Everything to the right of this white icon, so if I move it over, everything to the right is pure white. If I move this black over, everything to the left of it is pure black. And you can see there's no black there. You can see there's a bunch of white in the picture. So if I slide this over, these things that are variations of gray all go to solid black. And you can see this middle one moves. That is your average, if you will. So I get my blacks to something nice and solid. And that's actually working out for me quite well. Sometimes, if I need to smooth this medium slider, that makes the whole picture lighter or the whole picture darker, and just tweak it until you're happy that it becomes more of a black and white line drawing. Bink, done. Okay, so that's cool, but we're not going to use Zombie Superman here, but that's how you would modify that one. We're going to talk now about how you combine some characters together. So if I have these two characters, or if I have Batman and the background, now I will warn you there are only a couple of city background drawings that you can find. You can find the interiors of rooms and some outdoor stuff, but you're very, very limited on city backgrounds. So it's usually easier to have two characters. So let me do something with two characters. Now, like everything we do, we're going to set this up in a rough cut to see what we like. So, for instance, I think Harley should be smaller because she's not as big as Batman. So I hold the shift button down. I can either double click in there, or if I was modifying her size, I can hit up here and that will finalize the modification. Okay, so I've got Harley there, and I'm like, you know what? I want Batman to be a little bit behind her rather than standing right next to her. So I'm going to move him up in the page. Where their feet touch the ground, the higher up he is, the farther back he is. So once again, hit this or double click. I'll double click and bang. So, okay, that works out pretty well. I still got the white behind Harley I need to get rid of. So let's try that out. So I'm going to go to my Harley layer. Now, this is pretty easy to do. This is your quick selection brush or quick selection tool. If I click and hold on this, under it is the magic wand. The magic wand selects pixels of a similar color. So I will go over here, and on my Harley layer, I will click on the white behind her, and you can see it grabs most of it. However, when I hit delete, I get this error message because a smart object is not directly editable. What the heck is that? Well, when you bring images into Photoshop, they become smart objects, and there's uses for that, but this is not useful for us. And this little icon down here in the lower right corner shows that it's a smart object. So I'm going to right click or control click if you don't have a right mouse button on the name of the layer. If I right click over here, I get some options, but they're not the options I need. So I right click on the name of the layer and I go to rasterize layer. What this does, it turns it into a bunch of pixels. For all intents and purposes, that means it is no longer a smart object. You can see that's gone. Now when I hit delete, that white goes away. And then I will deselect, which is Command or Control D. Good shortcut to know. And now, when I move Harley around, that white's gone. I'm going to erase this, but I'm just going to use a regular eraser. So I go to Eraser, make sure that it's hard edged, turn off my caps lock so you can see the size, use my brackets. My right bracket makes it bigger, and I'm going to start to erase this. Let me pause for a second while I do this. There, so I've gone through and I've erased all the stuff behind Harley, and by the way, a good way to check this is if I hit the eyeball in Batman, take him out, and I can see there is no background left over. Now, as far as the characters go, this makes a lot of sense. I like have her in a little bit in front, I have him behind. We've got a little bit overlap between the characters, which makes the whole thing look a little more 3D. Oops, I got a little white there. You can see that right there. I'll have to get rid of that here 1 second. And by the way, here's how I do this. I do have a layer in the back on my background down here, which is pure white, just to have a white background. If I delete that, you can see that I've got some white left around her. So I can go back to my magic wand, make sure I'm on my Harley layer, and I can click these areas here that are left over with my eraser and make sure that those are gone. Hold your shift button down to add to your selection, and I delete all those things. Command or Control D for deselect, and there we go. That should be good. Oh, one little piece there. Bam. All right, so now I can see that's all gone. I'll put that white back on just so we have it. And I see that I like my character here, but I'm using up, I have all this empty space in my picture. Why would I want to do that? This is part of the idea of the rough cut, is that you get your image set up right. So I'm going to go to Image. I'm going to go to Image Rotation, 90-degree clockwise, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to go to my Move tool. This is easy to fix. I go to the corner, out to the bin, hold my Shift button down. This locks it into 15-degree increments. Let me zoom out so we can see the whole thing. There we go. All right, double click, go to my Batman, Shift button down, and now I can hold my Shift to enlarge to get him sized back up. And this just looks a lot better. Now I've got them so they're using up the whole page. I don't have a whole bunch of empty space doing absolutely nothing. I'm good to go. So last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a color image. This is going to be a reference that you can use to help color your characters. If you can find a good reference that looks like a three-dimensionally colored version of your own character, great. If not, if you have a sort of obscure character, find another character, use that one. But get an image like this that you can use to help you to color your thing to make it look more 3D, and you're good to go.